Hey all, I think this is going to be a quick video, but I think something uh, pretty significant just happened here, and now it looks like it's getting some official recognition. But um, for people who have studied uh, the end times um, belief system of the Shia uh, Islamic uh, beliefs, that's the uh, belief system that's the majority opinion in Iran, which will be significant in these articles here. They had prophesied Iranian government in particular, which again is controlled uh, by the mullahs, and so the belief system is both spiritual and political. It's a theocracy around Islam, and their version of Islam, the Shia uh, Islam, is looking forward to the Mahdi. And there's plenty of books out that paint all the parallels between the Islamic Mahdi and the Christian biblical Antichrist, and that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to mark something that could be significant, which is the Iranian uh, government and the mullahs um, are recognizing through their TV outlets the official position of the Islamic Republican theocratic government. The significance here, they're saying, of the fact that this King Abdullah has died, and he's the king of the Saudi Arabian government. And a year or two ago, the Iranian government produced this video, Iranian produced end times video, um, and it talked about a major sign of the Islamic regime's coming Messiah, this Mahdi character, as being imminent, and that when you see the Saudi king die, um, that's the major sign that this Mahdi needs to come. And you might say, well, uh, that's not a big deal, really, is it? And the issue is, again, for people that study this, they know this already, the way that the Shia Islamic sect believes the Mahdi comes is uh, through a huge war. He comes to resolve crisis, is the way they see it, and so to bring the Mahdi out, there has to be huge war broken out, and of course they target Israel, but they also call the U.S. as the Great Satan and Israel as the Little Satan. So who knows how broad in scope um, they're taking their thought of war, but it's a huge marker that this Saudi king Abdullah has died. And I'm going to put a link to this Midnight Watcher blog post up here. You can read, this person's linked a couple of the things that popped in my brain as soon as I saw the Saudi king had been recognized as dead through a couple of media outlets. He linked a couple of things that I did as well. So one is, we'll see this I think here in an article I might touch on coming up, that there's a massive deployment of long-range missiles um, from the Iranian regime, and the first rumor that the king of Saudi Arabia had died was mid last week, Wednesday or Thursday, and supposedly they've kept him on life support for the last several days. Who knows why? So it's probably given the Iranian regime time to validate the death through whatever sources, and now they're starting movement of long-range missiles, and long range, I guess, is like 1,200 miles that can reach into Israel. But I also think it's just as likely, if not more likely, that the main front of the war is going to be through the Iranian proxies. And we've got Hizballah in Lebanon, and Hezbollah is also providing tens of thousands of troops to the Syrian government to support the Assad regime, which is also being supported by Iran. So you've got this cabal, if you want to say, of Islamic Shia-based sects that are linked together at the hip. Now their major objective is not only to push these liberation warriors out of Syria, which the U.S. has heavily been supporting, but they also want to come against Israel. That's the number one objective. So it's building up here to a point where I think you can't avoid it if you're going to start talking about biblical prophecy and the news. And we've got a major marker here of the death of the king, which is not major from a Bible standpoint. It's major from the Iranian regime. And the Iranian regime shows up in one of the major Bible prophecies, as well as the Syrian government, as well as Lebanon, which we'll see in a minute. And so that's how you tie this into the Bible, and we'll take a look at some of that. Okay, so they're confirming the death. Here's, flashback. Iran, death of King Abdullah means Islamic Messiah is near. A final grand war against Islam's enemies will culminate with Israel's destruction. And so you can see, and this isn't the writing of the blogger. He links to an article, okay? So he's just gathering information here in this blog post. So what he's reporting is an article, I think it was from 2011, where this announcement was made that the King Abdullah's death will mark the final war that, again, is targeted at Israel's destruction. And so, again, I think by implication, this is a major marker for Bible prophecy students and Christians and Bible believers in general. Oh, here's the other article I mentioned, and again, I'm sure this is, if you Google it, I don't see a link here. If you Google it, you probably see, you'll probably see a lot more about this, but Iran begins massive deployment of long-range missile launchers to crush the enemy. And so that's Iran is positioning, and I'll guarantee you, if they're positioning, they're probably positioning toward the border of Iran facing Israel, because if Syria, Lebanon through Hizballah, and some of the others that we'll see that fight in the Psalm 83 war from the Bible, we see that Iran has been supplying armaments, as well as Russia, to this group that's touching the borders of Israel. And I'm sure their long-range rockets are tended to be backup support to target Israel as part of this invasion or attack or whatever is being planned. Okay, now I just jumped over to prophecydepot.net, and this is really, I highly encourage people who haven't hit this site. This is pretty important because the gentleman that manages this site, he's published several books, and he's very focused on Psalm 83, and he popularized, let's put it that way, this psalm as being current day prophetic passages in the Bible, and he breaks it down 9 ways to Sunday through his articles. You can see videos of him teaching it out. He's got books, but the long story short, it comes in this little table here, and we can talk about what this means. So tents of Edom in Psalm 83 is the first listed. It's the Palestinians and southern Jordanians that were in refugee conditions from the 1948 war that took place. And so they're listed first, and the plight of the Palestinians, is the excuse that's always used for all these groups that surround Israel to want to attack or to put down Israel. It's always because of the plight of the Palestinians. Next listed in that psalm is the Ishmaelites, which is Saudis. Then you've got Moab, which is the Palestinians and central Jordanians. The Hagarenes, which is the Egyptians, and we know that the southern border of Israel with Egypt is a mess right now, and the Sinai in terms of all sorts of militant groups trying to position themselves for an attack on Israel. Um, the Muslim Brotherhood controlled um, Egyptian government now makes open statements about um, attacking Israel and raising the banner of Palestine over Jerusalem and all sorts of craziness. Then you got Gabal was listed, and that's Hizballah in the northern Lebanese. And you need to know almost nothing more than the fact that one of the most vocal, warlike leaders of Hizballah is uh, Hassan Nasrallah, was the one that fought against the Israelis. I think it was 6 years ago. Um, there was a brief clash, and Hezbollah took a lot of casualties, but they sort of fought to a stalemate. The Israeli army and everybody backed off, and he promised the next one was going to be the all-out war, and you'll see Hezbollah is now positioning all sorts of soldiers into Syria. They're getting weapons supplied from Iran. That's just on, according to the Israeli government, it's on a hair's trigger right now in terms of war on that border. Ammon is again the Palestinians and the northern Jordanians. So if you look at Ammon and Moab, they're just different portions of Jordan. So Jordan's heavily involved. Amalek is the Arabs of the Sinai area. Okay, we just talked about that. Philistia is Hamas of the Gaza Strip. And we know just last year there was however many thousand rockets shot out of the Gaza Strip at Israel. Tyre is Hezbollah again in the southern Lebanese. And so you got basically Gabal representing the northern Lebanese and Tyre representing the southern Lebanese, but the key tie-in here is Hezbollah is the militant group, Islamic-based militant group involved in that. And then Assyria is listed, which the area of Assyria is represented by Syria and northern Iraq. And so again, I'd point you to this prophecydepot.net. The gentleman's Bill Salus. He's got tons of materials. He's been talking about this coming war, Psalm 83 war. And so I'd point you there. Here's again the banner to his site. Here's an article that I just saw, but it was written in February 2010. I don't know if I caught it in his archives, but the reason why I pick on this one is it's the Isaiah 17 commentary, the biblical commentary. So instead of me popping up Isaiah 17 again and trying to make comments, I think it's probably better done by somebody that's been studying this longer than me. I'd suggest you come. Again, I'll put this link down below this video. Go either listen to the commentary, it's an audio, or you can read down below his commentary. Let's pop over and take a look at the news. Dubka.com, it's Israeli news site. A lot of people say that the folks that are involved in this are ex-Mossad and Israel Army linked reporters, and so they frequently focus on these pending wars, the military movements and whatever. And so if you're trying to say, I'm looking in the Bible and I see Psalm 83 or I see Isaiah 17 or I see Jeremiah 49 as talking about these armies coming against Israel, Debka file is a great place to go in terms of looking at the current news and seeing what's taking place. So we just talked about Hezbollah being listed twice in Psalm 83. And what do we see here? The leader of Hezbollah, this Hassan Nasrallah, let's see here, calls up reserves and they enter Damascus. And so, this Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah gave a war speech, and his terrorist group joined Syria against Israel, and he's pouring troops in and calling up reserves and whatever. So go maybe take a look at that article. Also over in their breaking news section just today, now today's May 27th of 2013, they have this pop-up about the call-up of the reserves. You can go check that out. They also have Iran and warning that if the flow of Syrian rebels, and again, the U.S. is sponsoring this, actually Saudi Arabia is behind this, and it probably is linked to the whole Benghazi fiasco, where the rebels and the arms were most likely being called up from the Libyan war, funneled through Turkey and used by the United States and Saudi Arabia to fight against Assad in Syria. And so Iran is saying if that doesn't stop, then Assad's going to come against Israel. And so it just feels like the powder keg is there, and quite possibly since Syria, Hizballah, Hamas, and all those are proxies of Iran and receiving weapons from both Iran and Russia, was or will Iran view this death of King Abdullah as the trigger point to unleash the proxy war against Israel? And that's why I bring this up. I usually like to go into the Bible and go through the Bible and go point for point and talk about these things, but I'm going to step back and I'm going to suggest instead that you go to prophecydepot.net, you go to this linked article of the Isaiah 17 prophecy and go through that, and hope you have a good Memorial Day, and thank you to all the troops if you're listening to this. God bless.